In the thick, sweltering jungles of Vietnam, a legend was born during the war, one that lingers to this very day. She was known only as Apache, a woman whose name was whispered among American Marines like a curse. No other figure of the Viet Cong was tied to so much dread and horror. Her weapon was not just a rifle. It was fear itself. She was not merely a soldier. She became the face of terror, and even now it remains uncertain how much of her story was truth and how much was myth. To grasp how Apache became such a notorious figure, one must look at Vietnam in the 1960s. The nation was torn between North and South, between communism and a Western-backed government. After decades of French colonial rule, the bloody First Indochina War, and finally America's entry into the conflict, Vietnam stood at the very center of the Cold War. American military might brought tanks, helicopters, and relentless carpet bombings. But the Viet Cong refused to fight on open fields. They melted into the jungle, hid among villages, and relied on tunnels, booby traps, and the support of the people. Within this shadow world, the tale of Apache arose. Unlike in Western armies, women played a central role in the Viet Cong. They served as scouts, couriers, demolition experts, and fighters. Roughly 30% of the guerrilla forces were believed to be women. Many young girls were taught weapons as teenagers. For American soldiers, this came as a shock. The idea of a woman not only bearing arms, but deliberately killing and torturing men clashed with their view of the world. That very notion made Apache terrifying. She was not just a fighter. She embodied a total break from everything American troops had been conditioned to expect. The first rumors about Apache began circulating in 1965. American patrols reported discovering mutilated comrades, bodies that had not simply fallen in battle. A few survivors, deeply scarred, spoke of a woman who interrogated them with a cold gaze, torturing them with cruelty that felt closer to medieval torment than modern combat. Witnesses said she nearly always carried a mocking smile, as if she sought not intelligence, but pain itself. The Marines gave her the name Apache, not because it was her real name, but because it reminded them of stories told in childhood, tales of Apache tribes in North America who were said to use brutal torture methods. The name remained, and with it, the legend grew. Apache understood something many of her foes underestimated. Fear could be deadlier than any bullet. Instead of silencing her victims, she let their screams carry. For nights, the cries of prisoners echoed through the jungle, so near to American positions that soldiers stood trembling and sleepless at their posts. Some refused to patrol once the rumor spread that Apache might be close. Others admitted they dreaded falling into her hands alive far more than dying in combat. With every victim, the effect only deepened. Apache was not just a woman with a weapon. She was an unseen force, a constant shadow draining the morale of entire units. The reports of her methods are difficult to endure. Eyewitnesses described how she shoved bamboo splinters under nails, carved into flesh, or mutilated limbs without killing outright. Some claim she etched symbols into the skin, warnings for those who later found the bodies. One of her most merciless tactics was letting her prisoners' cries reach their own units. Marines later recall how in the dead of night they heard comrades screaming, yet could do nothing without charging straight into an ambush. This deliberate psychological torture turned her into a figure who spread far greater fear than most regular fighters. Though she held no official command, reports stated that Apache led a small unit of 15 to 20 guerrillas. She was said to have trained young men and women, many scarcely 16. Her squad moved like shadows, swift ambushes, deadly traps, pungy stakes, and mines. After striking, they disappeared without trace into the Siuchi tunnels or the dense jungle. Among her followers, she was both feared and respected. Some accounts even claimed other Viet Cong feared her, not for combat skill, but for her appetite for pain. Apache was especially dreaded around Hill 55, a few miles from Da Nang. There, U.S. Marines lived under constant threat of guerrilla assaults. The screams of prisoners tortured within earshot carried beyond the camp's edge. Some Marines recalled how at the sound of those cries they fought the urge to rush out and rescue their men, only to be held back by superiors. They knew any attempt would lead straight to death. And so, her reputation spread. She was no longer seen merely as an enemy, but as something almost beyond human. The mere suspicion that Apache was near was enough to unsettle entire patrols. Eventually, U.S. commanders decided she was no ordinary guerrilla. She became a priority target, not for the number she killed, but for how she broke morale. Here the line between truth and myth begins to blur. Some reports insist she was hunted down by snipers, others that she fell in an ambush. What is certain is that her trail disappeared sometime in 1966. Whether she was truly killed by Carlos Hathcock, as many accounts allege, or whether she died in another encounter remains disputed. Some historians even suggest there may have been several women whose stories fused into the single legend of Apache. The accepted version claims she was killed by U.S. sniper Carlos Hathcock. The bullet was said to have been fired from over 600 yards while she moved with a small Viet Cong band. Yet even after her supposed death, doubts remained. Her body was never conclusively identified. Some soldiers swore they saw her again. Others believed the tale of Hathcock killing her was crafted to raise morale, a symbolic victory against a symbol of terror. Whether Apache truly died as told, or whether her myth was deliberately ended to calm shaken troops, remains unresolved. Today, Apache is less a historical figure than a reflection of the Vietnam War itself. Her legend shows how powerful psychological warfare could be, and how stories, true or exaggerated, shaped the minds of soldiers. To some, she was a ruthless terrorist. To others, a fictional creation meant to embody the war's cruelty. Some historians see her as propaganda. Others insist she was real, though greatly embellished. What is certain is that her story influenced how Americans fought and endured in Vietnam. She was a phantom spreading fear even in death. The tale of Apache reveals how wars are decided not only in battle, but also in the minds of those who fight them. Whether she was one woman or a legend born from many tales, she endures as a symbol of the darkest sides of conflict. We may never know who she truly was, but that is what makes her myth enduring, the uncertainty. For the Marines of Hill 55, she was real, and that alone made her the most feared woman of the Vietnam War.